mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I'm joined as always by Dan from Bleed and Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Conformity gate isn't real.
She's only doing that because she knows our mic works now.
You can talk. You can talk.
Yes. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Monsters of North podcast. If I sound any different, it's because my mic works now. Yay! So, backstory, I have a lovely podcasting mic that my husband bought me for Christmas when I first started doing this. I've had it for about 3 years, and wasn't until last Saturday that realised it's never actually been plugged in. Like once. It's never actually worked.
Professionals. We're professionals.
So what you've been hearing is me through my which is quite good. My camera cost about £20, if that. And the audio you've been hearing is coming from that. All my headphones. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But one of the two.
The ether.
So you may now, from now on, hear the fact that I do have a dent in my mic that has been a prop for the past 3 years. And you may hear my cats.
Possible.
It's a possibility. But yeah, I have a working mic and we are on a brand new episode and I cannot wait to dive into this film because it is a masterpiece.
Something, yeah.
So I will do the disclaimer and then we will crack on open. Sure. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions, and it's our opinions alone. And if you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our socials or in the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in horror. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of a nerdism.
Don't be a dick.
Exactly. Don't be a creep.
Or be a creep.
But do it at night.
And do it with an 80s soundtrack.
Bang an 80s soundtrack over the top of it. Yes, we are doing Night of the Creeps. Okay. Night of the Creeps is a 1986, I'm going to say science fiction horror, but it's a lot of things. Comedy, actually. Film written and directed by Fred Decker in his feature directorial debut, starring Jason Lively, Jill Whitlaw, and the legend himself, Tom Akins. It'll be the night of your life. Death, as Monsters Up North brings you Night of the Creeps. That is a tagline. It'll be the night of your life. Death.
It's very final, isn't it?
Yes. I couldn't say thrill me. As Monsters Up North brings you. Oh my god, this was an absolute fest for the eyes. I loved every... This is how I felt when I watched The Return of the Living Dead.
There's a thing with this movie, and I forgot all about it. How it goes from ridiculous to beautifully shot to ridiculous to every kind of cliche that there is in the book. But we have to remember it was 86, so these weren't cliches in 86.
This was the norm.
And it seems to hit every kind of reference point from Porky's to it's a mess, but an organized mess that has something for everyone, whether they know it or not until they watch it, I think.
Yeah. It is the homage of all homage movies.
Hmm.
He pays tribute to B movies, slasher, zombie, alien invasion, body horror, you name it. Everything is mushed up into this movie, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, I really did love every second of it. But Tom Aikens, man, oh, the his dialect. This is one of his favorite films, by the way, of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, he said
Is
if he could ever if he could ever go back and do another film, this would be the one he'd want to consistently do time and time again.
oh, there was a lot going on with his character. But what got me tickled my funny bone was the smelling of the rose.
There were so many strange, just strange things, the way it was written. Because I remember seeing something about how Fred was saying that the studio took a lot of control over the
Yeah,
editing. So the way he envisaged it is not necessarily the way he wanted it to come out. So when people have been slating it, which when we get to the 1-star reviews, you'll find there is a hell of a lot of people that have slated it. They've all said pretty much the same thing. It seemed incredibly messy. Now,
mm,
I can see where they're coming from
yeah,
because it does feel a bit disjointed because they did have to go back and refilm, like film extra scenes, and then they got put in at the end and they didn't kind of fit right where they put them. It was all very strange. Um, but Fred's vision was a lot more linear and had more in it
yeah,
that would have made it a lot more. It just would have made a lot more sense in Fred's kind of world, but they
yeah.
studio weren't interested in doing that.
This was Fred's very first directorial movie, not his very first movie. And it's no, it's his very first directorial piece. But he
Mhm.
had a hand in other things. He is the writing partner of Shane Black,
Correct.
which I should have known.
They
And
used to live together.
Shane is in this film as well.
He is. They used to live together, Fred and Shane. And obviously Shane is probably most famous for writing Lethal Weapon.
Yes, which I
Um,
didn't actually know about.
yeah, and not a lot of people do. Shane has had a very checkered past. He's written everything from The Predator, which was the second most recent, not no, it'd be the third now, won't it? Because Prey
Yeah.
and the other one has come out since then. But yeah, he did The Predator, and then he wrote that one. He also was partly directed Doom with The Rock, the Pebble at the time.
Oh,
Popular.
yes.
I still love that film. I know it's terrible, but I really love that film because it's just it has a place. Um, and like Shane's had his finger in a lot of pies. He knows what he's doing, and he did have something to do with Monster Squad as well. Because obviously, those of you who know Fred
Yeah.
know that he was responsible for a year later in 1987. He did the Monster Squad. So
He is also responsible for Iron Man 3.
yes, and that one is the Guy Pearce one, which I detest
It is.
with a passion.
It
I
is.
hate that one. I just hate it. I don't know why I hate it. I always skip it if I'm ever doing the cinematic timeline. I refuse to watch it because it doesn't exist in my brain.
It's yeah, we've when we for Doomsday we've already covered it well long ago, and we weren't looking forward to it because we remember that time in Marvel where Thor: The Dark World had come out, and that, to be honest, rewatch Thor: The Dark World because on on now eyes it actually isn't too bad. There's a lot in there, like the Malachi story. Like, it's actually not too bad. It's not as bad as what I remember. But Iron Man 3, the Shane doesn't know Tony at all, and the Russos kind of fixed him in Civil War with because he was. It's all about the Tony giving up his suits and I'm done with this. He'll never be done with it because he never wants to be. This is not Doomsday Sam. Um, but yeah, he's responsible for Iron Man 3. He wrote and directed it.
Yeah, Shane has been a he's been an actor. Obviously, he was in Predator. He was in
He
the very first
was.
Predator, um, which some of you may know, some of you might not know, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hence, I think that's what he got his in at to be able to do the directing of the
Possibly.
Predator. But
Possibly.
Yeah, he's a colourful character, is Shane.
Yeah.
But
Fred's his partner, business partner, writing partner. Fred's career starts in 1983. Great year I was born. Because he was asked to write the script for Godzilla, King of the Monsters in 3D.
right,
Um, and it was quite a bit of a success that he ends up going on to do Twilight Zone. Um, and helped out with House.
yes,
And then he's basically done a lot of what do you call it, like circuit. It's like just kind of like dipped it out in here, there, and everywhere. And then he got landed with Night of the Creeps. Didn't get landed with. He got the chance to do Night of the
yeah.
Creeps, which
He wrote
honestly,
it as well, didn't he? Like him and
yes, he wrote it in a week.
yeah, I can kind of tell.
I don't
But
understand it.
yeah,
It's not that, to be honest, this movie is, take the writing aside, it's the visuals with it. It is the actual homages that he pays to it. The opening of it with the 1950s, the way that they are talking is so B movie, and it doesn't change. The dialogue and how people deliver doesn't change that B movie feel. Take yourself back to the Blob
yeah,
and Steve McQueen.
yeah. How wrong that was.
Exactly. Uh-huh. And that was how B movies were shot, because it was more to do with the visual aspect of the shock value of it all, as opposed to the actual plot. Because there's so much going on in this film.
There is.
So much. It got very confusing, but I didn't care.
There was I think it starts off where you see multiple naked me's running down a spaceship with some
Oh
guns.
my God.
And they were when they did the costumes for those, right? They actually said Fred said he didn't want animatronics and he didn't want like I can't think of what he's going to say. Like he wanted people to be in there to show that they're
Yes.
fully mobile and stuff like that. So he wanted them to be really like realized characters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so the original bit wasn't going to be put there. That opening scene wasn't originally going to be put in to the extent that it was. But as many might know, the three guys that ended up being the guys that did all the makeup on this are the same guys that do it on everything, Mr. Howard Berger and Mr. Robert Kurtzman. However, Greg isn't credited as doing
No.
any of the SFX work on this. However, all three of them did play zombies in this as
Yes.
well. So,
It depends on where you get your information from. Wikipedia will tell you that it was Berger and
Nicotero,
no, the other guy,
Kurtzman.
Kurtzman. And then IMDb will tell you that it's Greg Nicotero and Berger. Oh, he's always there. Berger's always there.
Yeah,
But yeah, it depends on which one. So I had a feeling that all three were involved.
yeah.
They just couldn't be asked to put all three names on.
And I think Greg at that point was working for Savini, though. And they
That
still
makes sense.
formed KRB at that point, or
Hmm.
yeah, KMB, sorry. They hadn't formed that yet. Because they were all working under the prospective different
Yeah.
like masters. So yeah, so when you find out it's them, it goes, ah, okay, I get it. I get it now.
As soon as
And
the opening scene came up, I sent Dan a picture and I went, "What the fuck is this?"
oh, what did I say? That looks like me.
Oh my God, I didn't. That's honestly, the opening does like send you like, what? But the whole movie does exactly that, because you don't know. There's Invader of the Body Snatchers in there. There's a zombie apocalypse happening. Slashers, bloody guy with an axe getting hacking up people.
It flips on a dime and then it'll kill it off as soon as it's flipped. And you're like,
Yeah.
what was
What?
that?
What?
But yeah,
Why is Tom Aikens murdering someone and putting them into?
I watched
Why?
I watched it on, I want to say, I think it might have been on Shudder or Prime, but it was £3.49 to rent it, and it was in HD or UHD, I can't remember. And I must say, the quality in the black and white was absolutely beautiful. It was
Stunning.
crisp as hell, and I was watching it, and it felt like I was watching a movie that had been shot now and put
Yeah.
back into the black and white. Although, however, as soon as it hit the 80s footage, it went grainy and shitty again. And I was like, I kind of like how that went.
Yeah.
It did definitely define that kind of different era. Other than it just being black and white. I loved how stunning that woman was.
Oh,
The main lady at the beginning that gets choppy chop chop chop.
yes. She was absolutely breathtakingly
Tom,
beautiful.
it's Tom's girlfriend,
Of course it is.
ex-girlfriend, wasn't it? At the beginning, it was his ex-girlfriend. She'd
Yes.
gone with
Oh, I thought
someone.
you meant in real life.
I
Yeah,
think
of
that,
course.
I wouldn't be surprised. But though this is, I must say, out of all of Tom's movies we've seen,
No
there's no
ladies.
woman in the bedroom in the first 5 minutes. I mean, the guy did not do that in this movie, which is shocking because he's a quick mover, is old Tom normally.
Yeah. He knows how fast he can get them.
So you see this really beautiful woman in the
Hmm.
car at the beginning with the other guy. Well, the bit before that is the bit where you see the guy bashing on a window with stones, the
Yeah.
typical. And then you see a bunch of sorority girls in this room, and one of them's watching Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I thought was quite a coincidence because that's now two movies that we have covered within a movie, which is kind of meta.
Yeah.
We've done Monster Squad and we've also done Plan 9. So, yeah, and she's the one on the phone who's talking, who's watching it, and they think that she is the house mother
Hmm.
later on, who's watching Plan 9 again later on.
Yes.
So they think it's the same person, supposed to be the same person, like
Oh, I didn't
going
put
from
that
the 50s.
together.
Yeah, going from the 50s to the 80s. It's supposed to be the same,
That makes
but they make
sense.
her look a lot older than I think she would have been. But like, it's the 80s. Old people looked really old.
I thought it was Mrs. Voorhees when I first saw her.
Well, Pamela, little
Yeah.
old woman. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a bit like Pam. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we mentioned homage in here. It doesn't just go down to the actual genres in horror, it actually goes to names as well.
Yes.
Oh, good gosh. We've got Chris Romero, John Carpenter. Have we?
And we got James Carpenter, I
James
think.
Carpenter, sorry. James Carpenter, Cynthia Cronenberg, Detective Ray Cameron, Sergeant Raimi, Mr. Miner, who is Steve Miner. I think that's the guy who gave him his break in Godzilla.
Mm.
Um, and then Detective Landis.
You've also got the universities named after Roger Corman, Corman
Yes,
University.
the Corman University, yes.
They also talk about getting in contact with officers Dante and De Palma.
Oh,
So Joe Dante and obviously
Palmer.
Brian De Palma. Uh,
Brian De Palma, sorry.
yeah, and it was just one after another, and it's one of those things where I think it's done in a way where you can laugh at it now because
Yeah,
at the time you probably wouldn't have known that.
no.
I
It
can't see in 1986 knowing every single one of those references unless you were a cinephile back then. It's
no. It was just when she turned around and said, Cynthia Cronenberg, I was like, no, no, you're not.
all your
No.
parts are on the outside. You're fine. You're not definitely a Cronenberg.
Oh, it was when Detective Landis came up. Homicide Detective. Unfitting.
Irony.
Yeah, absolute ironicness of it all. Yeah, I like the idea of the names and everything. But again, this is just I feel like this is his place is to pay homage to the movies that he loves because Monster Squad is absolutely no different.
Correct.
Very
Yeah.
much love letter.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Fred. He writes what he knows
Yeah.
and he doesn't care. And when see, this is one of these things I don't know how many people, when I referenced Porky's before, knows what that is because
Hmm.
I don't know if it falls into realms of the obscure now because it is so on PC and of its time now. It's horrendously on PC. At the time, it wasn't. It's like Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's. It's very similar.
Nerds, nerds, nerds. Any of you nerdy up north listeners will know that that was our opening to our YouTube when we first started.
Amazing. But like it kind of has a homage to that because they call this a collegiate comedy horror, was how I'd seen it once described when I was doing the research for this, which kind of it it's encompassed in the movies at the time, which were college, all based around young women, side boob. Are you going to get full boob?
Yeah.
Are we going full on Norks or are we not? That kind of situation where the blokes are, and that's something. There was an interview with Fred, and he said he wasn't sure whether he was ever going to show Cynthia completely topless when she was getting changed because he wanted the audience to keep going, are we, are we, are we, are we, and just build this kind of level of
Yeah.
anticipation. Now, talking about it like that in today's standards does seem a bit grim, but back in the day, seeing boob was a massive thing. It wasn't like in horror. It was done under the guise of tropes. It wasn't done
Yeah.
under the guise of, oh, let's for nefarious, dirty movie reasons.
Yeah.
And he wanted to build this mystique around like Cynthia because she was the lead girl. He wanted her to stay kind of pure, but have a little bit of like, oh, are we going to see that? And then the studio just did it. They just ran with the editing and let you see it. And he wasn't happy about that because he didn't want to have a full. It's quick because she's putting on her
Yeah.
shirt, but he didn't want that. He wanted her to stay pure to the the virginal trope that you give the lead girl. The minute she has
Yeah.
sex or shows boobs, she's a real woman, therefore she must die. Kind of thing. How dare she be sexual in any way?
Travesty.
Yeah, so once the studio had literally decided that they were going to go full on frontal with
Yeah.
Cynthia, Fred was like, ugh. And he realized how much control studios actually had over his vision.
Yeah.
He was not happy about the changes they made, as I mentioned earlier, during the film. I think it was a bit of a rude awakening for him in the respect of that he was naive at the time as a director because
Yeah.
he was going in thinking, right, well, I get to make my movie. This is my vision. I get to put out there what I shoot and what I deem great. And he didn't really think past the fact that there is an editing team and there is anywhere up to 3 or 4 passes if they have the time, if they're scheduled the time to do it. Sometimes they can do more passes of a movie dependent on what the studio want the final cut to be and if they don't like
Yeah.
where it's heading and do they have to go into reshoots and blah blah blah. It was a bit
Yeah.
of an eye opener for him.
It was, and the fact that he ended up having to do 2 endings.
And then the extra reshoots of the shed scene, that was a reshoot.
Yeah, I was reading about that earlier about how they had there was something, it was test audiences didn't like it.
They hated the reshoot. And they said it didn't really give enough action. Apparently, the very first pass that they did, that they put out for audience test screening, they said that they hated the fact that there wasn't enough action in there. So the studio went, right, we know what will be action. Put them in a shed and have the zombies drag them out of the shed with a flamethrower, and that'll be action. And then Fred was like, well, whilst you're there, we're going to do a couple more little things.
Yeah.
Whilst I got the camera crew, and then he had them do some like close-up shots, where Chris grabs I'm going to call it a slither worm before it goes in his mouth.
Yeah.
There's a shot where he catches it before it goes in. That was a part of the reshoot, and then there was another scene. It was very short, but Fred had them do those to be able to put them in the movie for somewhere for it to contextually make a bit more sense within what the audience was saying. So
Yeah. Yeah, there was bits in that where she was stepping over people. It looked like there was no frantic panic or anything like that. There was no chaos. She just kind of like, "Whoop, I'll get out of there."
it was I liked JC in this, right? His
Hmm.
little sidekick friend, and
Yeah.
you always get that kind of like wingman in the 80s movies to the main character, and you always get he's always got to be funny,
Hmm.
and you know, and Fred did an interview, and someone was like, "Don't you think it's terrible you made him,
Oh yeah.
disabled?" And he was like,
Why?
"What's the fact it's got to do? Why is he disabled got anything to do with anything?" And they were like, "Well, why did you make him that?" And he's like, "Why shouldn't I have made him that? does it matter? It's got absolutely nothing to do with him as a character. Just because he's walking around on crutches doesn't negate the fact that he's still funny, or he still plays a good character, or he's still, you know, able to deliver the lines. You know, even though I think it's his name is Stephen. That's all I remember the guy's name as. The guy
Yeah.
who basically wasn't in any way handicapped, hadn't had an operation. He wasn't disabled. He was fully
Able.
then he was able to do everything. But they just said it would be kind of like one of those things where you'd endear him a little, you'd be more endeared to him.
Yeah.
If the comedy didn't get you, it'd be the fact that he was on crutches and they wanted you to like him because he was supposed to be the comedy relief, even though this whole film was absolutely ridiculous and everybody was funny, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah.
Even the bad guys were funny because that frat, oh my God.
Oh no, no.
Oh,
What the fuck was his hair?
the white hair. Like
Yeah.
it was practically blonde white. And I'm not talking you've just bleached it and that's been many bleaches. That
Yeah.
was fried to within an inch of its life and almost like a you could see that if you were to touch it, it would disintegrate.
It looked absolutely horrific.
Did you catch a line that was said in the movie that you may have heard before?
Yes, but only because I have read about it.
Yeah. I don't know whether it was intentional. It feels like it was intentional because obviously this came first.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he'd written Monster Squad at this point because there'd already been a massive hint to Monster Squad within this movie.
Yeah.
There was the graffiti in the toilet that said
It's
Monster Squad rules.
yes, that, but there was also something else in the toilet as well that caught me eye, and it was oh, no, Go Monster Squad. That's what
Yeah.
it said on the side. But it was something else as well, and it was the thing began with an S. I thought I wrote it down and I haven't. No, I didn't. Darn
Yeah,
it.
there's a few scribbles. If you pause it and read it, you'll see them. There's quite a few little nods in the scribbles to other horror genres and stuff like that. But the line I'm talking about is the kids say it in Monster Squad, and they say it in this one. Dead guys do not get up and walk away by themselves.
Yes.
So I thought that was very, very clever.
He's
Definitely very clever.
I kind of like him like a lot, even though a lot of people would look at this and go, it's like how many references can you use? How many people's like famous directors' names can you use? And I just think it's a lovely, lovely touch.
The thing is, I think it was for if anyone's actually sat and watched the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards, which was done by Andre, um, I would highly recommend going and watching it because there's huge interview with Fred in there,
Hmm.
and a huge interview with Shane as well. Um, and Fred does talk a little bit about Night of the Creeps and how it was like he was writing Monster Squad at the same time, and how like it influenced writing Night of the Creeps. He felt like his target audience needed to change, but keep the horror element. And then when he realized he couldn't obviously get the licensing with Universal for it, and he had to sort of mold it around and work around it, he said he had more fun with it. But if you want to see probably one very, because Fred is a very private guy, you do not get a lot of interviews with Fred Decker from
Hmm.
around that time at all. He's not interested in it all. He just loves movies and making movies.
Yeah.
He's not really there for the whole razzle dazzle of it all. That's why Shane goes and does all that stuff, because Shane likes all that sort of stuff. He's not he's the silent
Yeah.
partner in the situation. But yeah, he does he talks a lot about his like inspirations and stuff in the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary, so which I highly recommend. I think it's doing the rounds on Prime for free. So
Oh.
it's about an hour and a half long, and they interview Ryan. They talk about Horace, and forgive me, I can't for the life of me remember the guy's real name, because it's come up to, I think it's his 30-year anniversary since he passed or something like that this year.
Oh, right.
The lad who played Horace, and then obviously you've got, and there's so much that Fred has inadvertently kind of influenced throughout like horror genre and throughout
Hmm.
culture with just that one film, and with this one as well, because there's so many weird things that happen in this film that you don't realize has influenced other movies
Yeah.
moving forward, you know. And he's taken inspiration from, like you say, Body Snatchers and things like that. And then someone like James Gunn, who I know is a divisive figure, you either like him or you don't. I have to say,
I
I
like him.
don't mind him. I think the guy has had such a huge he's had the right kind of training to deliver comedy horror, because he worked at
Oh,
Troma.
yeah.
That James worked at Troma, for those of you who don't know. Now, if you don't know what Troma is, you might know who Toxie is, or aka the Toxic Avenger. I'm not talking about the Elijah Wood, Peter Dinklage thing that I still don't know if I can bring myself to watch. I'm talking about we're talking Class of Newcomb High. We're talking the one film that has made me feel physically sick to this day, and I don't ever get like that, which was
Oh.
Poultrygeist, which I saw at a Leeds Film Festival that was run by Paddy Dingle and Marlon
Mhm.
Dingle. If you've got the stomach for it, I just found it so disgusting, but it was funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Troma Films, you know what you're getting. You know
Yeah.
what you're getting. So he had an education coming up through Troma. So when James saw this movie, he always had the intention that he wanted to sort of pay homage to it in his own way, in one way or another. And there was so many articles about whether Slither was a remake of Night of the Creeps or not,
Oh, okay. I can understand
or
that.
a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And like the majority of the people said no, because it doesn't seem to, there's too many differences compared to,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of similarities, which at the moment the only similarities seem to be the style of the alien that escaped in the cryopod, which
Yeah.
is like the little wormy thing, and how they amalgamate into one big one, but they can shoot off on their own. And in Slither, it's I've actually got a signed copy down there that I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, did for
Oh, Rucker.
yeah, Michael Rooker did for me. And I love that film. I think it is gross in all the
Yeah.
right ways. I even got a warning off of Facebook for posting a picture of Rooker in his full Grant grotesquerie when he was like at his worst in that film. And it is, I can see why people would think that, because the sluggy things are very similar, and I love the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, again, it's like a nod to a nod to a nod to a nod, and
Yeah.
it's this whole kind of like thing. um but yeah, I will say that, again, that was horror comedy done in the right way.
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion, it's just all of his, it's all of
It's his
James mates
friends.
in a movie again. Elizabeth
Yeah.
Banks plays, um oh God, I can't remember her name, but they do such good characterizations. The way that they play to the tropes in this is very similar, so I can see why people see.
The similarities in the
Yeah.
two. So I only watched that a few years ago because my sister absolutely adores that film. Like, which is strange because I never put on Michaela down as that kind of movie. But yeah, I wish I'd seen it earlier
Mhm.
because there's so much like of Gun now. I'm like, I can't put him in that place.
Yeah, I think
Where's
he's
the
been,
Guardians?
that's the thing, I think he's been so conditioned. Like when you watch the first Guardians back, that's Gunn, and then you can see him slowly dying out through the sequels, like, and then you kind of, you get to Superman, and we won't talk about those. I'm not here to talk about those, but you can see Gunn starts to come back again during
Mm,
Superman, and his tongue in cheek and his stupid
yeah,
humor, and that's what people forget. They forget he has the education of Troma University.
yeah,
So when you see the absolutely sublimely ridiculous stuff going on in Superman, hence the monkeys on the internet, it makes
yeah.
perfect sense to people who know his history, you know.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of James's, did you hear the rumor that 2 years ago in 2023, oh, that would be nearly three now because we're in 2026, the other James, Mr. James Wan, was rumored to be doing a remake of this?
Yeah.
or he put forward, James Wan had put forward the idea that he wanted to do a remake of Night of the Creeps. Now, I
Right.
will say, I feel personally that could work.
Right. I have this thing with James Wan
Yeah. Oh,
because he give me Saw.
yeah.
And I still think to this day Saw holds up as a fantastic, not just horror, but movie.
Mm.
Then there's The Conjuring.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that he should be the one that remakes it. I'm not.
Did didn't one want to do Creature as well?
One wants to do a lot of things because one, he puts his name to everything, although he's not necessarily anything to do with it at the same time. So
Ah,
I find James, when he works with Lee, they came up with that stroke of genius that was Saw, the first movie. Now
oh,
people have to forget, people tend to forget it was a three people cast movie. There was only three people in it. Carrie Elways, um,
there's a no, there's more than three,
Lee
man.
Whannell's in it.
Yeah, and
Carrie's in it, and then obviously you've got John Kramer laying there on the floor for the whole time.
you've got Danny Glover too.
Oh God, I forgot about all the police switching in and out. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
they've
Yeah,
got. No, it's not. I get what you mean, though. It's not it's done on a shoestring. It's incredibly independent, um, but it has, and I still think to this day, one of the best holy shit moments when Kramer's like he's been there the whole fucking time, and I still get excited over that film. Like I genuinely really love that movie. If that was the only one that ever existed, I'd be fine.
well, I think the thing with that movie as well, when Carrie Elways plays that character, it's a hell
Mm.
of a shock to anybody who's grown up with Carrie Elways.
100%.
He's Wesley. He's
He's the
Wesley to
guy from
everything.
Twister.
Or he's Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Tight
Oh,
Tights. You know, we're talking
yeah.
Mel Brooks, we're talking Rob Reiner, bless him. You know, we're
Mm.
talking. It's just there's this whole history with Carrie Elways that you're so used to him playing a certain way. And yes, he was a dick and twister, but
Oh,
he
he
was
was
still
great though.
he was still the slimy one. In this, he's like, you don't like him. You don't even warm to him.
No, he's so like no, like yeah, and yeah, no, I don't like him in that. He's totally unrecognizable. Even like I know, yes, we said he's a dick and twister. He took a pylon in the face like no other can.
did. He did. But yeah, I feel like if they were to recast the part of Tom in this, who would they cast? Who would James cast? And I feel like maybe Carrie would be somebody he would look at to play Tom's part. Although having met Carrie, he's got a very limp handshake, and it gave me the ick.
Yeah. No one can replace Tom. Sorry, but that man is a legend.
It's the thing,
Legend.
isn't it? The thing that this is the thing about this movie and how it's set out. Right, when we're in the 50s, you see the policeman come to the car to warn the kids that are at, you know,
There's an axe wheeling murderer on the
yeah,
loose.
they're up at Cuddle Corner or whatever we're going to call it at the
Put
lookout.
your
Make
head
out
on my
Ridge.
shoulder.
They're at Makeout Point or whatever it's called. And you see the policeman come up and you realise that obviously he was her ex that she was talking about because the girl was gossiping on the phone earlier. And you see her in there with the boy that was throwing stones and you're like, okay, she's moved on. But clearly she hasn't because she was still looking at him like she loved him. And he
Yeah.
was very much like, okay, well, I accept this, but you need to go home now. You need to leave. And then as they're driving back, did they hit something?
I think so.
And then the frat boy gets out the car, the peppy boy with his Letterman cardi on gets out and goes and walks into the woods because why wouldn't you? Let's be honest. There's an axe-wielding maniac out there, but I'm gonna
I'm
go
gonna get out my car.
leave her unsupervised, this beautiful woman in this beautiful car, and just take a little walk into the woods. Yeah, let's do that. And then obviously the axe-wielding maniac murders the beautiful girlfriend in the car, and you find out that that was Tom's character. The policeman was Tom's character, and he's never got over the loss of
No.
the woman. But to the extent of why you never find this out until towards the end, like
But
what
she
his
tells him so
justice was.
bloody randomly. He never even asked.
that was like, this is what I mean about the weird things that happen that kept you on your toes in this movie, because the they come out with just something and you'd be like, what? Because like that whole thrill me thing, I used to watch Phone Jacker a lot,
Mm,
and a lot of you that know, I think it's Kaivan Novak, or Kayvan Novak, the guy who plays we drank a lot of drug blood and now we are wizards. Oh God, not Laszlo, bloody, I've gone blank. It's late.
and I know who you mean. I know you just said that.
Nandor.
Nando.
Right. He in England, he played someone called Phone Jacker. So he'd ring up.
I did not know until this moment that that was him.
Yeah, it's him.
Wow. Okay.
Basically, Phone Jacker was him. And then he went on to do Four Lions, which is still a piece of British cinema history about taking the piss out of terrorists. It is just
He's a
worth
funny
watching.
guy.
So when he did Phone Jacker, there was a character he used to play called Terry Tibbs, and there was this one thing he used to say all the time was, "Talk to me, talk to me," and every time, old
Thrill
Tommy
me.
Boy is going, "Thrill me." That's all I could hear was Terry Tibbs, and I couldn't get past
It's
that.
like anytime he answers the phone, thrill me. Anytime somebody talks to him, thrill me.
Is that
It
Detective Cameron? It's
thrill
Bozo
me.
Clown. Thrill me. It's like, where did that come from?
Who cares? But that was the problem. I did not care. It was the when they're sitting in the during the movie, they're sitting in the apartment, and he literally. This is so B movie though. The way he delivered, it reminded me so much of Plan 9, and I was like, you can clearly tell that Plan 9 runs very heavy, and I'm not
So
talking
disjointed.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
The disjointness of it, the acting ability of it, how people because you really think Tom's really trying. This is like the speech that Rowdy Roddy Piper gives in They Live, and it's like Oscar worthy, like how great that monologue is. You think you're getting the same with Tom in this moment. It's not.
No,
It's really not.
he really doesn't care. He's ready. Any moment when death comes to him, he's ready for it. He even tries to entice it at one point where he glues himself into his apartment with gaffer tape and turns the gas on. And he's lying there in this moment where, like, he's having the best of times. And then old Chris starts banging on the door and to let him know that
The
he
phone
was right.
started ringing though. So the phone's ringing and he's gassing his house out. How the fuck did that house not blow up?
Many questions to do with that
Oh,
whole thing.
so many. But what I very much appreciated in this, and it clearly goes down to the people who did it, is the makeup in it. It was some great body horror in there, mind, with the splitting of the head and the things coming out and
What I loved was the when the older house mother or whatever they called it, because in the UK, I don't know if many people know this unless you're obviously from here. We don't have fraternities in this.
no.
I think America is probably one of the only places that has
Yes.
sororities and frats. And so if I get the name wrong, like house mother is what I think they called her in this.
I
When
only
she's
know it from House Bunny.
or Black Christmas for me. That's my
Mm,
only frame of reference. Or Scream 2 when Buffy gets thrown over the banisters. Off the off the
yeah.
balcony thing.
No.
Yeah, there's this whole bit where the beginning starts and they're trying to figure out where they fit in the hierarchy. They know they're not top dogs. They know they're sort of towards the bottom, but they're just coasting. One's got a sense of humor that'll get him through, and then the main guy is
A
just
nervous
not
wreck.
sure. He doesn't fit anywhere. And then he just clocks this girl from across the age old, she's going to be my wife. And it's like,
She's
all
the
right.
most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
And his mate doesn't even fall for this. He's like, here, bird, come. What's your name? What do you
He
want?
it's
And he
it's
just comes out
it's
of nowhere. He is just
it's
fearless.
when he's talking about the guy that the jock that she's talking to, and he's like, look at he's got an eyebrow that runs all across his face.
He didn't hold back. He was like, he was reading the room.
He was amazing throughout all this. But the vi- the cassette tape that he picks up later on.
That was harrowing. Did not even think that was the same guy talking on
Did
there.
you know why though? What they actually did to get because he is a genuinely positive person. Fred was saying he was so positive that they had to put images in video and images in front of him to distress him. when he is talking, he is watching people being murdered. He is watching Holocaust videos, like the most horrible of like terrible, terrible things. They had to do that to put him in that mindset because otherwise it wouldn't have. He would have been the cheery chappy guy that we've seen throughout this entire thing. Yeah, they put him through the ringer for that one.
We kind of have to give him kudos for that. Some people can handle that sort of thing, others can't. Clearly, he
Yeah.
admitted he couldn't, I suppose. The
You could
reaction
just you could
genuine.
clearly like you could clearly tell the because that tone is very different, and it's meant to be. It is it is a warning, of what's about or what's happening, but it's still at the same time very heartbreaking to hear that he's having to accept his fate of that he's going to die.
Yeah.
The delivery is like you say, it's harrowing.
It is, and
It's
and
so
it just
sad.
again, it comes out of left field. Like I said, it's another one of those bits that happens, and you're like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah.
And he's giving the performance of his life on this Saw record me, read me kind of like dictator
Oh
thing on
shit,
the side.
yeah. Forgot
Um,
about that.
and then I think the problem that I have is, but then again, it doesn't really matter. Chris, played by Jason Lively, is not your typical leading man because you
No,
can't. There's no even though he flips in the way he thinks and he suddenly goes from dorky guy to action star, which the transformation doesn't happen. It just
it
doesn't.
is funny when they try though.
Yeah, oh yeah, but there is no like obvious point of which he goes
No,
through. Like even when his mate has just offered himself up because he knows how to kill them, so he's going to the furnace to kill himself. Um, he doesn't like you see him sad, but you don't see this change.
no.
You see him knocking on Tom's door going, yeah, it's all real. And it's like, okay. But
I
then
did
I
like his
found
action
out,
hero line though.
yeah, but then I did find out that he is actually the half brother of Blake Lively. Because I thought
No,
the surname, I was like, there can't be many Livelies in show business, surely. So I went on and looked, and he's her half brother.
there's a half there, so
Half. I don't
it's
know
not
whether it's on the
full.
father or mother, but Jason Lively is
Ah,
Blake Lively's half. And I don't know where we're sitting on the fence with her anymore. Is she bad person? Is she good person? Is Ryan a shit person? Is she? I don't know what's going on with that whole thing anymore because that was a
it
thing and
kind
now
of
it's
was
not.
weird, wasn't it?
It was all very
Weird
strange, and
moment.
I don't know because traditionally they've been very nice people. So like the
I I
image that
re-
they,
I remember when we did the Deadpool and Wolverine review, and I was raising her to the high heavens. Oh my God, she's been absolutely amazing through this whole press tour. Like she's really getting on board, like really standing by her husband. Like the outfits that she's wearing is amazing. And all of a sudden, this whole domestic violence, bloody shite, and the movie and the court case and the messages, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on her from now on.
yeah, I just don't know what side of the fence we're supposed to be on. Like if I
Yeah.
don't understand it,
Yeah, yeah, I'm best off staying out of it. But
yeah,
the his action hero line at the end where I was like, "Detective, thrill me."
Jesus. I mean, really, if you try and sum up what happens in this film in a quick nutshell, it is aliens lose specimen experiment. Experiment lands on Earth.
Mhm.
Experiment infects the kid
With
that went
fire
into
a
the
slug.
woods. They then cryogenically freeze the kid from with the slug in him
Why?
because cryogenics. They then if they then try to because the boys want to join the frat, they then defrost the guy and then they chicken out because they get scared because he twitched. The slugs then come out and then they infect everybody else, and more slugs come out and more slugs because clearly they multiply somehow. Uh,
And you turn into a zombie. Don't forget the zombie bit.
yes, and then everybody turns into a zombie. All the
Yeah.
frat boys, the frat girls, the sorority girls don't, but the frat boys do. And they all go to a house that looks a bit like the house in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, it
Um,
does.
and then there's some boobs, and
Lots of boobs.
then there's a dog, and then there's
Yeah.
the end. There's a flamethrower, and there's lots of thrill me and Tom Aikens walking around. So
Man, yeah. Tom Aikens just like I just love this man. But there is two endings. So the one that I watched, and I believe that Dan watched, was the one where so the house blows up because I really the end part. I love the end bit where they're in the cellar bit and they're all like all the slugs are all
Big slug pile things, like
but
a
yeah, but it's like
vacuum.
pulsing. You can see like there's like something going on there. I was like, oh, this is actually really like uncomfortable, and I'm quite liking this. Why am I liking this? Because it also reminded me, my thing about ants.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of reminded us a bit like that, and I get a bit itchy, and I can feel the itches starting. But it kind of made us feel like that. It's the movement.
yeah.
It's the yeah. Um, so I really like that bit. So the place blows up, and that's where you get the action line, detective, thrill me.
Because you're
Um,
standing around watching it.
because as you do, when
Yeah.
a house has just exploded, you just stand outside watching it, and it's like that great shot that you get in every 80s movie of where it pans out.
Hmm.
And you think the film's going to end, but then all of a sudden, Tom Akins, who sacrificed himself as the badass that he is charged to bits with a cigarette in his mouth.
Yep.
He then falls over, splats everywhere, and the slugs come out, so they continue on. So if you wanted to make a sequel, there's your opening right there.
Yep. And then
But
you see,
that's it.
doesn't it pan round to like a maquette of a cemetery, like a miniature of a
It's just
cemetery?
yes, because that is so miniature, isn't it? That's what I wanted
Oh,
to ask you.
100%. Yeah.
Because you could click like even to an untrained eye, you can
Oh,
see that that's a miniature.
1,000%. You could just tell it was so badly done. I mean,
Yeah,
considering the quality of the work that they produced at that point,
I
you had
still think it
the
went though.
skeleton zombie guy that burst through the floorboards, that was the Axeman that it turned out that Tom had murdered for murdering the girlfriend. Then
Yeah,
you had all the zombie makeup. Then you had the dog that they'd made from scratch. Then you had like the cat, when they did the cat as well. And then
that was not fun.
there was just a lot. There was a lot of
There was a
make.
lot, but do you not think because of the whole Plan 9 that's like kind of etched through, like that is actually perfect?
Yeah, and I think it's the only way they could do it where they could balance the plates. So they had the miniature in front and then they could play the footage
Yeah,
of the alien spacecraft looking for the slugs
because
flying over
that
the
was an
top.
impressive spacecraft.
Yeah, and I know. Did you know that that was then reused in stuff like they took that miniature of the spacecraft and they then reused it in Star Trek.
No, but that
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah, they reused it in episodes for TV for Star Trek because
But
they
here,
said it was worth it. So
it's great. Like it's probably the one thing that is so it's out of place because it's a spaceship, but it's out of place because of how good it looks. Because everything else is kind of had its own little niche of being that B movie esque type feel. That this felt really, really modern, like that bit.
yeah, I think that's the weird thing because when you look at our version, I say our version, it's still an old movie compared to where we are today. But we did Eight-Legged Freaks last year,
Oh
and
yeah, that
that
was
I
fun.
would say would be classed as a modern B movie because it
Mm-hmm.
was a take on all B movies that used to
Yeah.
exist. And our way of doing a B movie, I say our, with generational now compared to
Mm-hmm.
the 80s, it's still not B movie enough.
No.
Even though the spiders were amazing and the way that they
Oh
handled
yeah.
it, I'm not knocking Eight-Legged Freaks because it is
Love
a really
it.
good episode, but the way that they do it in the 80s where they just have this love
Yeah.
for how they can make a B movie look like a B movie,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's got a $5 million budget and
Yeah.
flopped royally at the cinema
Yeah.
because it only took 600K.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a royal
Wow.
flop, but because it got cult status
Mm-hmm.
over the years, it's made the money back through merchandising, through Tom promoting it still,
Well
through
done, people.
4K, through all that sort of stuff. So the sales of all that sort of stuff has pushed it.
I'm so pleased. I'm really am pleased. And just to the other version, so that's the version that you get to see if you own it or you rent or buy it right now. But the theatre version, so the dog plays a part. So there's a dog that gets affected, and this is one moment where I am okay with animals in horror because you could clearly tell that that was not the same dog that was walking about.
That was
That was
animatronic.
you was clearly something, Dan, because it weren't real. That's for goddamn sure.
It was a
Um,
puppet or an
it
animatronic.
looked like a puppet. It really did. But the dog is infected and it's all fucked up. And it walks into the bus, and I think that's the last time you see it is when it walks into the bus because I don't know what it does after. I can't remember what it does after that. But on the theatre version, the dog who caused the bus accident because he's standing in the middle of the road and he kills all the frat people. Oh, that's it. He infects them all. That's it. So so he causes the bus accident by standing in front of them. The bus then crashes. He then walks into the bus and slugs all out, and that's when the fraternity brothers all, you know, turn into I don't know what they are,
Yeah,
zombies.
those things.
Yeah, them things. So yeah, he returns and approaches Cynthia. Cynthia bends down towards it, and the dog opens its mouth, and a slug jumps out towards her, and it ends. That's what the theatre version was.
Some of you might get this reference, some of you might not. Again, it's a really niche thing. For those of you that are aware of like a TV channel called Adult Swim,
Oh yeah.
some of you might know the character Mr. Pickles, which is a dog, black and white dog that worships Satan. But he's just a good dog when he's around his family. But when he leaves his family, he's like the devil dog. And there was something about the dog puppet that looked exactly like Mr. Pickles. And it's an animated cartoon. It's stupid as hell, but it's on the Adult Swim channel. Sometimes you can find it on like Netflix or it's doing the round somewhere. It's definitely on YouTube. But Mr. Pickles is that dog. I'm sure they must have got their
Oh
inspiration from this movie of the puppet dog because it looked exactly like it. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I went, "That's Mr. Pickles."
yeah, I'm looking at Mr. Pickles right now. That
Yeah.
is Mr. Pickles. That's scary. Oh God, yeah. I was this is one time with animals in movies that I went, that's okay. You know how in Reanimator with a cat, and
Yeah.
you're like, clearly that's not a
Yeah, you're
cat.
so very aware that they're not real. It's
Yes,
like they went to that extra degree to make you aware that they're
yeah,
not real. So
yeah. Then that's fine. I can get on. I can get behind that. It's the likes of like Good Boy, like that. It's a brilliant movie, but you are so on edge the whole time because of this real life dog. Like you like even if like the slightest bump to it, you're gonna lose your shit over it. But when stuff like that, and especially with the dog on here, the minute it pans around and he's all zombified, and I'm like, yep, that's okay. I'm fine with that. That's fine. Honestly, this movie is just such a batshit crazy adventure
yeah.
that this episode has been a bit all over the place. It kind of is in perfect line with the movie because that is in itself is all over the place.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I will say that this film, I hadn't seen this since it must be 30 years at least since I've seen this
Wow.
film. And I didn't remember half of it, but I did remember the screenshot you sent me at the beginning of the alien, and I was just like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. But it's been great to revisit it because
Yeah,
it's like watching it again for the first time, especially with older eyes now. Now, I'm a lot
that's
older.
it. That's it.
It's there's an element of when you watch something when you're 15 to when you watch it when you're 45, and you're just like, actually, I can appreciate a lot of the stuff in this a lot more now than I did
Yeah.
back then. So
I love the fact that I'm getting to view it for the first time. And it's I remember when I watched The Return of the Living Dead, and I just could not wait for the next morning to tell you how amazing this movie was because I watched it really late, and I didn't want to text you because it was like past midnight, but I was buzzing with I love that so much. I got the same feeling watching this. I was like, that was absolutely splendid. And I
yeah,
don't use that word very often, but I love that warm fuzzy feeling. I love the fact that it's a love letter, like a full on love letter to old Hollywood horror, to not even horror, like just old Hollywood science fiction. I love that. And it's made by people who genuinely care. Like
yeah.
as much as you can have your opinion on Shane Black, I think Fred Dekker is proven not just with this, but with Monster Squad, he definitely cares about the genre.
And I want to tell people when you watch 80s movies back, you have to understand it's a different time. So you need
Yeah.
to embrace the jankiness of these movies because you're not going to ever get the jankiness again. You're
No,
never going
you're
to
not gonna
get that
get
level
that.
of what looks stupid to us with today's eyes, oh, it can just be done with CGI. We can make it AI or make it look real. I don't want that. I
Mm-mm.
love this level of absurdity within
Yeah.
like they know they're not real. They know they're not making it to look real. The jankiness is part of the charm, and we're never going to see that again.
No.
So, as people being able to still watch these movies and they're but still being out there, we need to embrace the jankiness. We need to sit and just remember that we're never going to see anything like
Yeah.
this again.
Oh, 100%. Well, that will lead in lovely too. Have you got any one-star reviews?
I do. I do. There wasn't a majority out there of 1 star because the most of the people said they loved the concept, but the execution was terrible, which was pretty much consistently the feedback that people
Right.
were giving. And I must say, this is the first film I've done the 1 stars for, which it didn't just say it shit, it shit, it shit. There
Oh,
was
that's good.
there was more constructive like feedback within the
Mm,
reviews to this than I have seen. So the first one comes from Rotten Tomatoes, and it's by Anonymous. But this one, it was a splat, obviously. This was left on the 23rd of June 2016. So we're talking 10 years this review's been up. This throwback to 1950s driving would be better served if they stayed in the 50s era. The film has some nice comedic moments, but mostly from Atkins. But the horror element is tame at best.
okay.
Which I didn't think was too bad a review. I think
Fair.
they kind of summed up the beauty of the 50s and they would have rather it stayed there than moved on.
Yeah.
So I get also the comedic moments are pretty much all from JC
Tom.
or Atkins. So thrill me.
Yep.
You're never going to get past that.
Smelling of roses. Why?
The next one is from Letterbox and it's 1.5 stars. And this is by Calf XLR. And this was left end of last year, 28th of November 2025. What a stinker. A limp, dreadfully paced snooze fest with awful, awful writing, awful characters, and hardly any gore or kills. Worth watching. Skip it.
No. No. I
So,
know I said
oh,
earlier that these movies are not all about the writing and it's more the visuals. I don't think the writing's terrible in this. I think Fred Decker's done a brilliant, especially if you understand where he's coming from. I don't think it's a bad, I don't think it's written badly at all.
I think the problem with reviewers, and I'm not generalizing, this is just from me, my experience of doing 1 stars. When you see people passing comment and its opinion, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to one. I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But I feel like people get stuck in the time that they are, like when they put the
Yeah,
review. So they're seeing it with the eyes of a 2016 for the first one. They're seeing it with the eyes of a 2025 person
yeah.
who's been force fed so much CG or so much practical, like effects work that and can't necessarily be able to separate the 80s-ness of it all from
Yeah, I would be interested to know, and I know age range, because
yeah.
does that have a factor into it? Because we are from this generation of this type of movie that is it more, is our love coming from it more than from nostalgia? And theirs really isn't because they don't get it. But I don't know. I think with me, it's my love of B movies, my love of old Hollywood, of you know, and I have loved sitting in the 80s. When we did Chopping Mall last year, I loved that so much. It was
Well,
fantastic. Oh my God, Thingy was in this too. The guy who I can't remember from Gremlins, who was in Chopping
yeah.
Mall.
Yeah. Um, oh, for God's sake, yeah, I've gone blank on his name actually.
No, what's his name?
I thought I wrote it down. Hang on. Uh.
You even said it to us last time, and you were like, because it was
No, I thought I'd written it down and I haven't. But yeah, basically,
Dick
Murray.
Miller.
Yeah, Dick Miller. Murray from Gremlins. Yeah, he was in Chopping Mall. He was in this. He was in, and that Chopping Mall again was another homage to Corman, and
Oh
obviously,
my gosh, yeah.
and they nod to Corman in this one. So I think there's a lot to be said for the 80s for setting us up for some of the most ridiculous movies out there. And oh God, trust me, there are many, many more. But again, we go back to the fact that it was the 80s blob that literally put us into a different frame of mind with where we wanted to go with this show. So we have a lot to thank the 80s for.
We do. Honestly, we really do. And not just that, B movies, because initially we had, when it came down to the blob, it was the original blob that I was more interested in
Yeah.
than the 80s one. It wasn't until we actually watched it and went, oh, we've got gold here. We've got gold. Because we genuinely didn't think we were ever going to make an episode out of that first movie.
Yeah.
There was no way.
And then the genius, and we're not biased because, you know,
Not at all.
but Tony Gardner
Oh,
created such an absolutely amazing movie within the blob. And, you know, the fact that we've had Kira on here, his daughter and co-host of the podcast. And I know this probably won't get heard by Tony, but I think there needs to be a massive congratulations because I've just seen he's got artwork installed in the Jackass gallery that has just been opened by Johnny Knoxville and the guys.
they
He
just
made
announced new film this year.
he literally just he's got an installation in there, and he's now apparently, I don't know whether Johnny made a joke about it or not, but there's something about Tony doing some collabs about getting some action figures done of the guys, and I don't know whether Johnny was joking at the time
Maybe
or what.
not, because as of today, they have just announced that Jackass will be doing a new movie this year. So that is not out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, so Tony, because Johnny gave him a big shout out on the video that they did for YouTube, and I can't remember which one who filmed it, but like it was Vice or someone like that, but it wasn't.
I
And
have such a soft spot for them films.
yeah, and Tony was at the opening of the gallery, and he had his installation up next to Damien Hirst had done like 10
What?
for them. It's all like the Jackass logo done in dead flies,
Oh,
and
I'm gonna have to
Jackass
have a look
logo
at
done
this.
in cigarette butts, and he painted these massive paintings. They've even got Mike Judge, who done Beavis and Butthead, has done a sketch, like a picture that they've had framed. They've approached
Oh,
all
that's
people,
amazing.
and
I never
some of
knew
the
that.
yeah, literally, it's a 2 room like installation of art, and Johnny gave Tony Gardner's company a shout out and was like and showed everybody that specific one of them, the models that he'd made, and Tony was there at the opening, and I was just like,
Oh, in any way, in any capacity that that man can be celebrated, let it happen.
mhm.
Because I just feel like I think Kira is a massive part of this, that his name is getting more out there of the work that he has done.
Yeah, because
And
obviously he worked on Slay, and also like which is, you know, but then she did the documentary first about her dad and about how he was the pioneer behind Chucky as we know him now.
now, not originally, but as we know him now, and he's kind of
Right.
evolved him.
It
Yeah,
was from Bride onwards, wasn't it? Because he
yeah.
developed the animatronic sort of situation. And
There's so much work that went into the Chucky. It's not just a case of he took a design that was already there and just did it again, duplicated again. He didn't. There's so much more behind it. But he does a podcast with her now, and she really celebrates the work that he has done. Like there's a one currently on the Blob. I didn't know he did The Craft. Like there's these movies that are coming out. I didn't know until we were actually doing the interview with Kira that he did the Night of the Living Dead. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, he did Half Corpse Girl in that, and
he had
I,
an inkling with Tarman. He didn't do Tarman fully, did he? But he had
no,
an
he had a
inkling with
hand
him.
in it, but
Yeah.
like Half Corpse Girl was his, and
Mm,
the thing with Tony as well is when we bit because obviously we were talking about getting Slay going, and we tried our best to
mm.
help out, and I backed the Kickstarter and I backed the Blob package.
Of course you did.
So I'm looking forward to getting my rewards for
Oh.
that, and it's a signed poster and everything, and I'm so excited because I want to get it
That's
up
that's
there.
fan
So,
that is fantastic. I love that. Um, did you do the 666 degrees of Jake?
of course it is.
Intrigued. I'm not even going to ask you if you've stuck with the same film. I'm just going to wait and see how it ends.
Jason Lively played Chris, but is also known for his role as Rusty Griswold in National Lampoon's European Vacation. In that movie, the part of Jack was played by William Zabka. He mo-
Oh, sorry.
He's most famous for playing Johnny Lawrence in
Who
Karate.
is? He's a real Karate Kid.
Exactly. He's the one we should like.
Yeah.
Johnny Lawrence in The Karate Kid / Cobra Kai, depending on what generation you're from.
Ah,
Martin Cove, aka Sweep the Leg, John Kreese, had a cameo in Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds has had many, many guest cameos, including Aubrey Plaza, Anton Yelchin, bless him, Mark Hamill, and even Tim Curry. The amazing Tim Curry is a legend among men, and I will not have anybody say anything else.
ever.
He played the part of Boyd Pinter in a 1992 movie called Passed Away, which starred the likes of William Peterson from CSI, Grissom, Nancy Travis. She played the mum in Three Men and a Little Lady, and So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, yes.
Frances McDormand from Fargo and Three
I
Billboards,
love that woman.
and also Bob Hoskins, who played Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yay! So you stuck with Roger Rabbit.
I'm going to see how far I can go with it, because I do have another idea for a film, but that's backup in case this doesn't work.
You can't pen it. Yeah, I get that. Oh, that's fun. Oh, Bob Hoskins. Oh, bless him. Wasn't it lovely when we spoke to, it's really funny that Bob Hoskins is where you're leading to, because we spoke to Neil Marshall about his experience working with him.
Mm.
Not that I'm plugging the episodes out of the famous people that we've interviewed before, but
Look, we don't do it that often, so just bear with us.
no. Oh, that's great. Before I forget to mention it, before we mention next week's episode, we are new for our socials. We are doing our own little reviews of the movies that we watch each week that are going to be going up on Letterboxd. So if you are a Letterboxd user and you would like to follow us, follow. I follow back. You will learn this on Instagram. I don't check. I just follow. So I will follow back because I am interested. I do love reading people's reviews, and it's a new feature that we're going to be using for our social media platforms.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that before I forgot, because I will forget. But what are we doing next week?
The substance comes in a little green vial, a little green vial, a little green vial.
Don't confuse us, because we've already done that film. That was the film we were doing when this all kicked off with Kira Gardner, because if you remember, I had to watch it twice because it was the one I had to distract myself from what had just happened, and then I had to actually watch it for the review. So yeah, no, but we are doing the substance.
Yep, I think it's about time, because
Yeah,
what tends to happen for us is if we tackle a modern movie, and when I say modern, I mean a new one when it comes out, if we tackle it too soon, it gets lost amongst the haze of 1,000 other people reviewing it at the same time.
yeah,
So we will sit on something until we're ready to do it. And Sammy's not a big fan of body horror, so it's slowly easing her into some of these things. So
yeah. Last year was a eye opener for me in body horror. I'm getting better. I don't ever think in God's green earth I will be ever able to do Cannibal Holocaust. I
that's
just
a lot for a lot of people. So you wouldn't be the only person.
my fingers just went kind of like ugh, like just thinking about that. But in all honesty, it was that when it was the, I don't want to say it's the first body horror, but like outside, like me trying to break that anxiety I have with it. Watch The Substance, and it was getting a lot of hype. And even when my sister is saying that I need to see this, like, because she really enjoyed this. Yeah, I can't wait to dive into it. I can't wait to look at behind the scenes, all the makeup work that went into it, because it's not just the whole body horror thing. There's a lot of stuff in it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes.
But I've absolutely adored doing this. I love when we do 80s movies.
Yes.
It's so much fun. So this has been Night of the Creeps. Next week is The Substance. You can find us on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel from 10 o'clock on a Monday. You can also, if you're an audio listener, find us from anywhere you get your podcasts from by searching Monsters Up North Podcast. We will be there later on in the day on a Monday. Don't know what time. Just depends on when I do it. Before 6 o'clock, put it that way. Before 6 o'clock. But if you hit notification bells on YouTube, and where you get your podcast from, you'll be notified that the episode has become available. The links for Bleeding Marvellous, Monsters Up North, and Nutty Up North are where, Dan?
Down there. Down there. Down there.
Still got your tinfoil nails.
Yeah, until next week.
Oh, new nails. That's it.
Correct.
Well, if there's nothing else left to say goodbye, Dan.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies, and a date for the formal. This is classic Sparky. Who's Sparky?
I don't know.
I don't think anyone did.
I don't know. Oh my goodness. Stay spooky, everyone. Bye.